You will not find better examples of amazing leaders in the US military. You will find the top 5 and the bottom 5% in the same day. And the subtitle of the book is Military Grade Business Execution Without the Yelling and Push-Ups. I want my people to read that and say, oh my God, 90% of all business teams are not committed. If I cannot speak the truth because this idea sucks, then I cannot engage in healthy conflict. Moving goalposts are another tragic reason why companies spin. And I've changed quite a few lives, well over 100 teams I've graduated through the process. I'm here to provide an opportunity.
Welcome to another episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. Today's guest is Chris Hallberg, entrepreneur, business coach, and creator of the Business Sergeant Leadership Philosophy, a former military and police leader turned into a business transformation expert and an EOS implementer, right, Chris? Yeah. Yep. So Chris has spent decades helping companies sharpen execution, build teams, and make tough calls when most leaders avoid. Welcome to the show, Chris. Glad to have you on.
Avetis, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Let's talk from the barracks to the boardroom. How did your time in the military and police leadership shape the way you run businesses?
Well, I think short answer here, and we can expand from there, is you will not find better examples of amazing leaders in the U.S. military. You will not find worse examples of the most horrific leaders on the planet. You will find the top 5 and the bottom 5% in the same day. It's pretty amazing. And the way you don't get to draft or pick the unit you're assigned to, they're called orders for a reason. You're ordered to go here and do this for however long. And if the command culture is positive, good for you. You might learn something. If not, then you're going to shield your soldiers from mounds of dysfunction while still completing your mission. So that right there, I think, is why military people are so valuable in the civilian business world. They've seen the best, they've seen the worst, and we steal our leadership experience from the best. We model and emulate that. And when we find the worst, I'm never going to do that to my team. And quite frankly, the bad examples are more plentiful, to be perfectly straight. I think having that perspective gives you a leg up on folks that just don't understand that. You know, working at a huge corporation or the US government, bureaucracy, red tape, waste, fraud, abuse, like the last thing you want to do is have a privately held company that has to participate and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Willing.
Chris, why is it that way? Why is it in the same day, same room, you could have the top 5% leader and bottom top 5 leader? How does that happen?
Because the military is a large multi-million unit system that requires people to sign a contract for a number of years. So you can send them and make them do things. And you know, there's not a ton of people, less than 1% of our population actively serves, and less than 7% of our existing population is a veteran or an active duty person. So think about 93, 94% of the world wouldn't want to make that commitment. So it starts with commitment. So to answer your question, when you're committed to be there, whether you like being there or not being there, you've signed up for 6 years and you're going to make it work. And what we don't have in our push button, have everything delivered to you society is when the tough gets going, the people get going, not the other way around where that statement was originally formatted, right? When we get going, when the tough comes around. So I would say that finding people that are dedicated to serve a higher power, like no matter what your business does, and it doesn't need to be life or death, but what I bring to my teams is a military mindset of if we're going to spend 8 to 10 hours away from our loved ones, we could spend that time and invest it well and be a cohesive team that kicks ass and takes names, or we could spend those 10 hours like a bad office of your favorite office show. And you know what I mean? And we could just be in, episode 4 for however long. Like that's the time away from your people is the same, but the results could be 10x if you get it right. So that's what gets me excited is we all make sacrifices for our number one, whatever your number one is. If you're gonna go ahead and you only have one life and, a third of your life to sleep, a third of your life to work, and a third of your life to live personal things, spending a third of your life with the wrong people doing the wrong things and not feeling great about that, I assure you, life is way too short to participate in that, but most people do every day.
People forget that concept, Chris, because I've worked with really talented young people, and I've said, hey, man, you're already here 8 to 10 hours a day. You might as well just kick ass. Like, you are good. And it's like, huh, never thought about that. What do you mean you didn't think about that? Like, you didn't even think about it. You didn't realize that you're here 8, 9, 10 hours a day. I think remote world has even made it more so that people can kind of glide and not really do much and just kind of react to emails and things and waste their time and frankly their life. If you really think about it, it's really half of our day, because 1/3 is sleeping. That leaves one day to going from one place to another and working, and then of course the time with the loved ones. Chris, when did you realize those principles could be applied to scaling companies? Those like military and police principles.
Well, as a National Guardsman, so citizen soldier, I spent 9 years in the Army, National Guard, military police. So part-time service and then full-time service in a civilian law enforcement capacity. Started in corrections at a super maximum security, 5 stories underground. Became a sergeant at the ripe age of 23 in the Department of Corrections. So I was also a young leader in the Army National Guard. So I think 21 is when I made sergeant, 19 or 20 corporal, which is the entry level non-commissioned officer. So having gone to a bunch of leadership schools, being a high-speed, low-drag soldier, come early, stay late, work hard, go big, go home. That's just how I was raised. So the Army loved that. The National Guard's like, yeah, we like this kind of hoorah attitude. Let's get more of that. So no one told me that I couldn't be a fired up, motivated civilian middle manager. So I just went ahead and assumed the mantle of becoming the business sergeant later in life, after people said, like, I want to be on his team. That looks like fun. It's a bit more effort, but the rewards are going to be larger. So if you want to be accountable, you want to surround yourselves with greatness, and you want to challenge yourself, then, who wants a part of that? Who doesn't want a part of that? Go be on somebody else's team. People gravitate towards what inspires them or what connects with them. So if someone is like, I don't want to work extra hard, well, don't put me on his team because they're a little crazy. Or you guys are a bunch of idiots. Put me on his team. I want to show you what I can do, because he's going to give me opportunities to take risks and go big. And making mistakes is acceptable on Chris's team, just not the same one 3 or 4 times.
Sure. You talk about getting teams to re-enlist every quarter. What does that look like, and what does it mean in practice?
Yeah, so I think so you'd mentioned EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I've been full-time, full practice for over a decade doing that. Learned directly from Gino Wickman, the creator. And basically every 90, Gino talks about the 90-day world. Humans, you got to dust them off. You got to pick them up. You got to pat them on the back. You got to kick them in the butt, whatever that human needs. And just like crumple up the paper and throw it over your shoulder. It's the past. We cannot go back there. There is not a time machine. What do we learn? What are we going to apply? And what are we going to put to the next quarter? And humans need, when you do the same thing year after year after year, having a reset, creating a theme, focusing on a certain part of the company, every department's going to focus on this thing for the quarter. Many hands make light work. So I think about re-enlisting, and where that comes is my book, The Business Sergeant's Field Manual. And the subtitle of the book is Military-Grade Business Execution Without the Yelling and Push-Ups. So you can be a fired-up, hoorah military team without all the 4 a.m. wake-ups and garbage can alarm clocks. That's all like initial training stuff, not like an actual high-performing team. In the military, they don't ask, hey, do you want to stay another 90 days? They have you under a 5-year contract, something like that. In the civilian business world, we all are volunteers, and we don't have a contract in most cases. So if I was to tell every leader, look at every one of your people and knowing what you know about them today, would you hire them if they walk through the door? And if the answer isn't a resounding yes, go get me another one that fits that description. And I'd also say, as an employee, every 90 days, is your leader taking care of you? Are you being heard? Are you being respected? Are you being acknowledged? Are you being held accountable? Do you see yourself becoming a better version of yourself by staying here? And if so, I want you to re-enlist, not for real, but symbolically, I'm all in for another 90 days. You ask me this question in another 90 days, and I don't know what I'm going to answer. But for the next 90 days, I've committed to be here and live these core values, get one and have the capacity to do my seat, right? And get my rocks done, my strategic initiatives. And that's what I'm signing up for. And at any time, I can opt out or unenlist, if that's a term. And that's not something that people in the military can do without like military prison or some dishonorable discharge that'll follow you. But back to the mindset, like no one's probably going to die today at the office if we don't get this project done or if we don't close this deal. But if we all understand this task, this mission we are on is mission critical for your firm. And when we complete it, we are going to celebrate. And once that's over, we are going to start again on another project. And we are just going to keep moving on in a very military mission forward fashion. And anytime someone doesn't want to be on my bus, please raise your hand. We will let you off the bus gently. We'll get you a nice letter. We'll get you a little severance. Like I want to make it okay to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Because if we don't have volunteers, we have people that are now beholden. I've got 2 kids in college and that shit's expensive. Mm-hmm. So when my boss says, here's what we're going to do, I'm like, that is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. If I don't verbalize that, I just become a yes man or a yes woman, and now we might as well work for the federal government and not do anything that's productive. And I'm being sensational about that. But we also just saw Doge look at Treasury, and they had 250 some people in the decisions department, yes or no. And in 15 years, they had never once levied a no answer. Like thousands of yeses. Like they could have had a stamp on the desk that said yes, and the last person, like we could have saved like hundreds of millions of dollars, but no one thought to say, hey, is this really a good way to spend the taxpayers' money? And everybody thought, well, I don't care. I'm getting full benefits, a retirement plan, and I'm going to Amazon shop for half the day. And look at me, I've got a dream job. Like that is the wrong way entirely to look at a high-performing environment. So it's just about like properly giving a shit, removing the people that it's obvious that they don't. Because it turns out, Avetis, there's about 7.5 billion people in the world to choose from. And most entrepreneurial companies are somewhere between 10 and 200 people. So I like your odds, but I don't like middle managers treating the owner's EBITDA like it's the government's unlimited, we'll just print some more money. And that's exactly what we see when we curate a team of apathetic, non-committal, entitled, push-button people. And so really at the end of the day, these are all hiring issues. And that's why the HR department and your recruiting apparatus, which I understand you do, is one of the most important things. Because when you don't have access to top talent, you will accept behavior from bottom talent because that's all you have. So I like to have people say, when I started engagement, you're going to meet some of my recruiter friends because how do we fix this? People aren't projects to be fixed. Yeah. People are who they are by about 15, 16 years of age is my experience. So if you only have 27 spots at your company and 14 of them are people that don't care, are completely apathetic to the success or failure, they'll just get another job. I don't like your chances. But if you have 27 people and 25 of them, would, metaphorically take a bullet in the meaty part of their ass for the company, like we'll be a little uncomfortable so we can win as a team. I like your chances very much to run circles around all the other teams that meet my first description.
Agreed. That's really good. Chris, I asked you this question when we met, but I'm going to ask again because it was actually very enlightening. You mentioned typically you're working with companies that have done really well. And I asked you kind of all the ones that lots of them have succeeded. The EOS model is awesome. You're probably a great implementer, but like of all of them, the top, let's say 10, 20%, what was it about them? What would you say? Because I remember what you said.
Yeah, willing to trade out the wrong people. Like not trying to fix humans, trying to curate the correct humans. That is literally the number one thing. And because we form relationships with these humans, let's say the company went through rough times during Corona, like not a stretch for a lot of people listening that experienced that. And let's say people didn't take a full check or you missed payroll or some sort of survival scenario. That guy didn't take payroll for 3 weeks, so I kind of owe him. He can forget to wear pants for a few weeks and we'll probably look the other way. Like, no, right? Like we're all in the same boat. And a hole in the boat at the aft, because you're there, is just as is dangerous to me if I'm in, the stern of the boat. So like at the end of the day, buying wooden nickels, right? This is the 47th time. No, don't make me come at you for a 48th time, because you know what's going to happen. 49, then 50, then 51. That's what's going to happen if we continue down that. So like the way I like to coach my clients is like, it's my company, it's your company, right? My company, this is how I want it to look. And it's going to take us a year or two to make it that way. But like once we are committed to making it look this way, this one doesn't want to do it, goodbye. This one does, great, okay. And it's just a matter of just the people that did want to do it last year, there's no indicator they're going to want to do it next quarter or the quarter after. So back to the 90-day world, that's all great history, but we all sing for our supper. And you're as good as your last worst move. And that's the level of accountability we're looking for. And when we find people that are okay with that, we also can pay them more money, because they're so much more effective than the herd that sometimes does and sometimes doesn't. If I can find people that will hit their numbers and do uncomfortable things and serve the team before themselves, we'll always be successful when we curate 80, 90% of the company. Anecdotally, if you have 80% of your company are the right people in the right seats, right people share your core values, right seats, using EOS terminology, GWC, have the capacity to do the job. Once we get 80% of the company can be effective, and you can tell it to do things, and we can our vision becomes our reality. But we can still have culture issues, or if the feeling isn't right, because 20% of the wrong people or the wrong seat or a combination thereof is enough to seal the experience. What I find is once we get to about 90% right people, right seats, the 90% will chase out the last 10% at the team level.
Oh yeah.
Like management can only do so much. I tell this story all the time with my clients when I'm explaining these philosophies. I'm like, listen, you ever hire someone and the team comes to you and like a week later and like, what's up with this new guy or new gal? Like if you don't like literally thank them for that and go out and remove that person like within 5 minutes, like that's a problem, because if they're bringing anything to you, it's got to be pretty bad. Let's just understand that. And I would rather have you apologize and say, I'm sorry, we didn't follow our process. Like sometimes people lie in interviews, or let's just fathom for a minute that everyone's resume might be a little bigger than their actual abilities. Like, right? When the team comes to you and say, hey, new guy, Mr. George, how much you paid the new guy? $20? Too much, right? When they come and tell you that, I'm sorry, we failed you. I will remove them. That all the people that are there, it's their team. Like whoever your HR person is, like, hey, this is the best candidate that I thought. Well, that's why middle managers need to be the final hiring authority on people they're going to manage. Like, let's let the recruiters, let's let HR get us a pool of finalists. And then let's let the person that's actually going to lead the team to say, that's the one I want to have. That one's 1, that one's 2, and that one's 3.
Yeah.
And that's the way
Chris,
that works.
speaking of leaders, right? It's like there's a saying, A's hire A's, B's hire C's. So you got to be really, really careful who you let kind of in that role, because a lot of times they're just protecting their jobs, or they're willing to reduce the kind of the bar just to make it easier on themselves. Chris, let's talk a little bit about decisiveness, because I think that's another really, really, really important thing. During our conversation, you said top performing companies don't admire problems. They kill it with 1,000 swords. Quote. What does that mean in real time? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think we should have a meeting to talk about this next week's meeting, and maybe we should plan the next meeting after that. When we're just kicking the actual issue because it's attached to a sacred cow or an 800-pound gorilla, why doesn't someone say, this idea sucked from the beginning? Or, like, I didn't see this working. So now that we're 6 months into what I said wasn't going to work, like, can we pivot? It's an ego in most cases where we're just going to finish the swing on this because, well, we have to save face. The person whose idea signs my paycheck, and again, I got 2 kids in college, and whatever, if the company goes out of business, I'll just get another job. It doesn't really matter, versus a team that's like, if there's no profit, there's no profit sharing. Like my teams, like I want 10% of your net profit to go into an options pool, like in some cases more. So when the company's crushing and you're making 30, 40% EBITDA, Like your people are paid so well, they're unstealable. In fact, I say we should hire people in the 75th percentile. I think payscale.com, ADP, they have plenty of tools. If we hire someone in the 75th percentile and we expect 90th percentile performance, there's actually a profit margin in A players. B players, again, are people with A talent or A capacity, but C behaviors. That's why they're a B player. And they're the most dangerous people on the planet because they look like A players, but when the chips fall, they're very C minus people. An A player is someone who totally understands the matrix, the game that you've put in front of them, and they want to play it. And they want to be surrounded with like-minded people who get them and they get them, and we can create this thing where we create outsized returns for the business. And then the owner shares that with me. So back to if I'm going to spend 8 to 10 hours away, should I do it for 1,000 a day or 600 a day or 300 a day or 100 a day? That is a question one would ask because to your point, my point, the amount of time it would take to earn each of those increments would indeed be the same.
That's good. Chris, what do you, when you mentioned admiring problems, what does that look like? What is admiring problems?
So like really talking about it, like not just saying what is the root of this issue. So I talk about the fire triangle. I remember my education from the 70s and 80s, which dates me. And let me just ask you, see if you got it in school. What happens if you were ever to catch fire or see somebody on fire? What are you supposed to do? Three things.
Right.
Stop, drop, and roll. What do people do? They run like hell, and it just, okay, great. Anyways, so the fire triangle itself, why do you stop, drop, and roll, right? Because if you're not running, you're slowing the oxygen. If you're rolling, you're stamping that out. You're taking the fuel, right? You're rubbing it off. So there's heat, oxygen, and fuel are the three things in a fire triangle. If I remove any one of those three things, no fuego, fire goes away. Issues, problems, anything you want to talk about in your company has those. What's the oxygen? Who has the oxygen? What is the fuel in here, right? What's the ignition source? My point is, if we want to look at a problem, what are those three things? And look at that, and then remove one of them immediately. You'll have a little less fire. Take all three away, there'll be no ability for it to ignite in the future. So concrete doesn't burn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what I took away from that conversation was that, you know, a lot of us like to push, you know, kind of kick things down the road, keep pushing it. It's not a big enough problem. We'll discuss it, and really, you know, you focus so much time on that D, right, in IDS, and then you don't actually solve anything. Your thing was just obsess over getting this problem solved. This one problem solved, because the
root issue, the identify, right? So when we don't identify the real issue, because this is Bob's idea and it sucked. It sucked 6 months ago, was my earlier thing. If somebody would just say, Bob, I love you, but this is not working and I don't see it working anytime soon. So we can double down on a loss or we can pivot to a winner. What do you want to do? Like if no one, like go back to team health, like not being able to speak the truth. Like let's quote Pat Lencioni, 5 dysfunctions of the team, right? Trust, vulnerability-based trust. If I cannot speak the truth because this idea sucks and it sucked from day one, if I can't say that without being transferred to the whatever Nome, Alaska field office for speaking against the area director corporately, then I cannot engage in healthy conflict. All conflict is seen as unhealthy. And if we're not willing to disagree respectfully for the greater good of the team, not Bob's massive unhealthy ego over there, who lords over us with TPS reports, then I can't even get up to the commitment part, which is right above conflict. And ready for this, 90% of all business teams are not committed. Like, whatever, if this doesn't work, like, I don't care. Like, oh, this is stupid. Well, they pay me either way, whether I do smart shit or stupid shit. So if I'm not committed, the fourth one is accountability. So everyone wants to talk about I can't hold my people accountable. Well, holding people accountable isn't something you do to them, it's something you do for them. So the last one in his trust triangle, right, the very top is the results. So I come in because the results aren't there, and then I start at the bottom and say, okay, can people, like if you got on an airplane and a guy had wires sticking out of his shoes, are you taking that flight? Or he's getting off the plane with TSA, or I'm getting off the plane? Fair enough? Like, I think that's a real world scenario, as crazy as the world is. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not good for everybody on the plane. Excuse me, ding, ding, ding. Like, I'm going to say something. Because the stakes of not saying something are everyone's life. So that's a polar example. Now go over here in the business world where it's not life and death, but there's no context to say we're going to miss our Q3 goal if we do this. Or doesn't that contradict exactly what we said we weren't going to do last quarter after losing $1 million? No vulnerability to say it. So then we can't have that healthy conflict. We just have unhealthy conflict. So people never commit. If they're not committed, quite frankly, it's impossible to hold someone accountable to something they haven't committed to. They don't give a shit about it. So like, this is the work that I go on day one, even though that's a thing we usually talk a little later in life in the proven process. However, like, I will show you 90% of the root of all evil is we don't trust that we can say the truth. We are not having healthy conflict. We are not committed. Therefore, accountability happens sporadically, and we look at like if you say like what happened and what did you do to make it happen, because things happen. We get lucky, we close $1 million deal and everyone celebrates, and that makes up for all the sins. If we not closed that deal, we're going to have to go fire half the company. So why not just create a system where if you're going to come work here, you're going to speak the truth. We don't do politics, we do profit. We do Best Place to Work awards. Like my clients have won literally hundreds of these awards, some of them 8 or 9 years in a row. And in order to do that, you get an engagement survey, and you cannot write a check to get a Business Journal's Best Place to Work award. It's an engagement survey, and you have to have this many people respond. And let's just be clear, to win, you're going to be somewhere in the upper 80s, mid 90s to be a finalist. So that alone puts you in the top, like half of 1% in engagement. So that's kind of what we do at the end of a 2-year engagement is we're winning these awards after the first year, because that's a third-party validation that says we've simply offloaded the people that aren't committed because they're not willing to do those first 3 things. And once I have everyone who's understands, so in your ad, 3 things, 3 paragraphs, exclusionary paragraphs. First paragraph talks about you, the candidate. Has people ever said you care too much? Are you offended by morons around you in the office? Like, I like to write ads that are funny, pithy, sharp. I want my people to read that and say, oh my God, look at this company. Like they get it. Like, so the first paragraph talks about, like, have you ever been in the top 20% in anything 3 times? Because if I find a human that's been in the top 20% of 3 anythings, and I'm saying anything, the chance for them being a winner for you is tenfold of someone who's never held a trophy or has a bedroom full of 8th place trophies, and the world's full of those kids too now. So what I'm basically getting to here is when in the first paragraph it says at the end, if I haven't described you to a T, go look at another. This isn't going to be an opportunity for you. Good luck in your search. There's the exit ramp. Second paragraph talks about a day, week, quarter, year in this seat. And you ever seen the not in the brochure, right? You get a timeshare and you're like, oh, it looks beautiful. You get the garden view, which is the dumpster. Like, not good. So if this job is muck and stalls and you're talking about like, high fashion in Milan, they're going to show up and be like, where are the models? And there's poop everywhere. So like, see where I'm going? So that you really talk about what it is, the good, the bad, the ugly, what people struggle with, all that. Then if you can't see yourself doing this for 40 hours plus a week, good luck to you. And then the last paragraph talks about our culture. And they've already felt that from the way you've written these first 2 paragraphs. And this is what we believe in. And if you don't believe in this, good luck. If you do, we're probably not going to hire you, but you should take a shot because we're awesome. And we're winning these awards, and you can't buy these awards. 95% of our company loves the company, and you should want to work here, but it's really kind of hard to get a job here, and it's pretty easy to lose your job here. And that right there, slow to hire, quick to fire, is the dynamic. And if we are slow to hire, quick to fire, and that's our ethos, that's our mantra, Then we have curated a team of people that want to be here, are willing to be uncomfortable, and will not accept that behavior from other people because it directly affects their profit sharing, their bonus, what they're trying to do for their people, which is ultimately the number one motivator for a human, is what are they trying to do, their number one thing, their family, their like whatever that is. So that's just it. We just say, this is the game. Anyone who doesn't fit it, bless your heart, go look over here. Anybody who is okay with this, come on in. So I just want to set the rules up front, and you'll probably interview half as many people, but your hire rate will be 2 or 3x higher. So it actually is quite efficient. And then we're going to use personality assessments, and we're going to assess all of our winners and losers. And we're never going to hire the people with the wrong personality archetype. And we're only going to interview people that have the number one or the number two personality archetype, like meaning they are wired to actually be good at the job. If we never interview someone without knowing how they're wiring, then we're never going to make a bad decision, because most people hire the wrong people at 5 minutes after meeting them because they're desperate or in need or whatever.
Chris, so, when done right, these people are motors, they're multipliers, and these wonderful people we hire. If not, they usually end up being, anchors, unfortunately. You talk about 3 winners, 3 losers framework. What is that, and how does it change the way leaders think about exits?
Yeah. So when we're having some failure and it's not hitting your paycheck, again, it feels like failure. It's, well, I don't like the vibe. I prefer to win. But if your paycheck actually was incrementally equal to the numbers we missed, I believe people would care a little bit more about the numbers. So I talk about the 3 winners and the 3 losers. Let's start with the losers. When you hang on to the wrong person for too long, like more than a day or two, not quarters or years, or in some cases decades. And I've seen stories of, they've always been like that, but they knew my dad, or some other reason. So the person that's failing is the first loser, because humans don't like to lose. So when I show up every day and I know I'm the anchor, not the engine, that even though my failure is allowed and accepted, it's still failure. And deep down, I know it, you know it. I have this wounded animal thing coming off of me. It's just not a great vibe for me. And it's definitely not a good vibe for everyone around me, right? So that's the second loser, is the team, right? The company, the squad, the what we're actually here to do. So I have a human that's failing. I don't like to see people fail. I'm empathetic to this. We are spending money on purpose on failure. Let me just throw that out there. And then the third loser is a winner. Someone at another company that works for a shitty boss who would thrive at our business. They would be a 2x employee of anyone else, but there's no opportunity for them to come to our team and thrive and find their people, which is us, because we continue to hang on to the wrong people, and there's no roster spot. We can't just take payroll and double it. That's not how business works. In fact, adding 10% to payroll isn't really even a possibility. So it's not about, are we spending like $5 million in payroll is a lot of money. Well, yeah, if you spend $5 million on the wrong people, it's a problem. If you spend $5 million on the right people, that turns into $7 or $8 million in profit versus, so that those are the 3 losers when we do that. Now, the 3 winners, right, it's basically the same people. When you remove the wrong person in the wrong seat, they have an opportunity to go find their team and win. That's not going to happen here. So the longer we prolong that, I just have a person in crisis, and that's bad for them, their family, the ethos of the team, the vibe of the air, everything. So back to them. Then we go back to the team. The team doesn't have to redo Chris's work. The team doesn't have to not trust a number or a deadline or a commitment, because they know it's going to get done. So they win. And then obviously that person who comes over is going to win as well, because we remove the wrong person. Now there's an opportunity for someone very special who responded to my ad because you described me, and I would love to. You're going to pay me to do that all day, and I get to do it in a team that goes to Metallica concerts in the box, and you know what I mean. We share these winnings, like we capitalize our employees' kids' college accounts. Like here's a thing we can do. We get people wellness accounts. We do a corporate trip to the Turks and Caicos Island or something like that. Like that's the team winning. So 3 losers or 3 winners. And when we don't make that decision, you're choosing for everyone to lose versus choosing everyone to win. And when I explain that to people, I don't know why, but people just like, wow, I'm the problem by allowing this to happen. And middle managers or sergeants in my world, sergeants are the ones that take the brass, the officers. The people I coach are the officers, the executives. But I also get a hold of their sergeants so I can kind of plug in the leadership team and the management team. It is amazing how many leadership and management teams are not connected. The leadership team keeps the management like senior privates. So like, here's a great example. Like when I asked, do you ever communicate? You got some pretty big change. How are you going to tell them? Well, we're going to send everybody an email tomorrow. You going to let the sergeants know ahead of time? No. Like, interesting. Imagine a leader finding out information and then the privates, the troops going to them, what's this all about? I don't know. I just found out. Well, I guess you're not really a manager now, are you? So, and that question, when people answer honestly, like, no. So I'm like, stop that. Why don't you meet with your management team once a month? And this quarterly plan, how's that going? What's blocking you? Oh, we are the leadership team because we flip-flopped 42 times this quarter? Oh, sorry. Like let's take some accountability. But the sergeants spend way more time with the troops than the officers do. And quite frankly, some of the officers, it's been so many years since they've been in the trenches that their thought process is talking about horses with cavalry, not M1 Abrams tanks with cavalry. So I also think the sergeants are a bridge and a conduit between the ownership leadership team and the actual troops who are the most important people at the company.
That's huge. You can't undermine them. That's a really good point. I mean,
you have to
if
support
they find out at the same time everyone else does it, basically they have no influence and they lose the respect. They lose the locker room. So I agree.
You're showing everyone that they're a glorified private. Yeah. And whatever we say from the ivory tower gets done. So like that is a great example for anyone in a leadership position listening to this episode. Stop that first.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, they should also be able to hire and fire, not come see me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to tell people right now, you're a lead worker if you're directing a project or a work product. But if you don't have the ability to hire and fire people and curate a team, you are not really a leader. So giving people accountability or responsibility to lead a team and not empowering them to curate that team is a close second. Like we could just talk about the most common failures that I see in pretty much every organization, even ones with logos that everyone on this call would recognize and respect. It doesn't matter how big you are, how medium you are, how small you are. This is just a human perception decision that needs to be made. Like, this is how we're going to do it. And if that works for you, great. If that doesn't, bless your heart, good luck in your search. So it just comes down to, you have a company and you have to decide who we are, how we're going to operate. And then, guess ready for this? You can't just unwind your non-negotiables. So what I tell people is, what are the 3 or 4 deal breakers? Do not ever break one of those deal breakers. The reason why you called it a deal breaker is if it didn't meet the criteria, you would break the deal. So people use the term deal breaker, and it's not a deal breaker. So I also think we should get some vernacular together and then actually find the line and hold it, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Moving goalposts are another tragic reason why companies spin, because of the moving goalposts, we don't have the failure moment where it's like, that's the 3rd time in a row they've failed at the 2-yard line. Done. Because I'm going to get somebody who is a closer and who is not losing that energy when it matters on the red zone, end zone type stuff.
It. Chris, what's from your book, The Business Sergeant's Field Manual, which is a concept that still surprises leaders from when they put it into practice?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I would just go back to the 3 losers and the 3 winners. This is that one right there, which is, there's a ton of stories and deeper examples that I give, war stories in business, observations. When I say buying wooden nickels, I mean just, I know what I need to do, but I don't have someone in my back pocket. So I'm going to accept wooden nickels because I don't have any other options. So what I talk about in the book is like your HR, your recruiting, even when you think your team is perfect. There's a book, Never Eat Alone. I forget the author, apologize, but look it up. Never Eat Alone is the name of the book, and it talks about executives. You should be taking your competitors' top people out for lunch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the day they have a bad day, the day their boss does something stupid, like I'm ready to finally leave here. Oh yeah, Avetis, the CEO of this other company, like 3 months ago, like just literally called me up and said, "Where's your favorite place around this area to go to lunch? We're going there. Pick a day. I'm gonna try to steal you. Probably not today, but you need to eat, and I need to meet great people. I heard you're the best." And when you do that and you have lunch with somebody and then they come over and you say, okay, who are the 3 best corporals there? Who are the best 3 privates? Who are the other sergeants? Who trained you? Who do you respect? Now I just give that information to my recruiter, and I just strategically take the very best people for my competitor. And then they get worse and I get better on the same day. That's the kind of, that's what fuels success.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. What, one last question for you. Well, I got a couple, but Chris, what do you say to leaders who've got good teams, right? They've gotten them to a certain point. They've gotten, these people have helped this person, this founder, this leader, whatever, get to a point where the company's successful, but they're struggling to get them to the next level. This team may not be the one that get them to the next level. How do you deal with that? Because you got good people that care about these people, and these people have gotten them to a successful place. These aren't definitely not losers. These are winners. They've got help getting the company to this level, but they're having trouble getting to the next level. What advice do you have?
Yeah, you don't really owe anybody the next level. Like I'm here to provide an opportunity. Another quote I'll just steal, but it's not mine, so not full larceny. Our job is to create an environment where accountable people thrive. Like that's it. Like you're here to create an environment for the right people to thrive. And if they're the wrong people, they will not thrive. I'm just here to create an environment and call balls and strikes. That just let me hyper simplify it. It's not a choose your own adventure for all 100 employees because when you take an Uber, you put an address and that's where you go. You don't say, give me the tour of the East Metro and I'll get there in 2 hours. Like that's not how it works. A bus has a route. Companies are buses. Employees wanted to use your bus like an Uber. The city bus won't allow that, right? So it's a bus. It's going to this one place and it leaves at this time. And if you miss when we depart and you're not willing to be on this bus with these people to get to this destination, you won't be traveling there. So like it's really that simple. So I think roundabout that answers that question, but philosophically, like
go and get the team. Go and get the team that's going to take you to the next level, basically.
You got to want to be on my bus and you got to want to go to where the bus is going. And if you'd prefer to go somewhere else, pull the handle. We will stop and let you off at the next thing. But back to my recruiting. If I don't have people along the route waiting, get me on your bus, then there's no opportunity for that exchange. So I think always recruiting back to I'm meeting people. I'm asking people when they join, where did you come from? Who is the best leader there and why? What was the number one thing you hated about there? Are we doing any of that stuff? Hey, what is the coolest thing they do here that we're not doing? And could you steal that? Could you tell me how powerful? Can we just adopt that? New people, fresh set of eyeballs. I'm going to grab the new guy or the new gal. I'm going to say, I get in my sessions. Oh, so-and-so's our new CFO, and they came from this great company. I'll catch them like right up. So what are the 5 things you would change after your first week here? And everybody's just like, oh my God, did you really just like, I have to answer that? I'm like, yeah, you need to answer that. Go. And why? And like, hey, everyone else starting to get offended? Stop. Like, this is pure gold. Yeah. Like within a week, they already have like a litmus test. I like this. I don't like this. Like, it's such a gift to get a new set of eyeballs. We could be doing stuff that's inferior, we think is superior. Yeah. We could be doing something we don't like. And this is 10 times better than how they do it over there. It's perspective. Why don't you get a little by asking new people what they think? I love it.
Always be recruiting. It's a big thing for us. As we're always telling companies like, what do you mean you're not recruiting? Well, we just laid off. I'm like, well, guess
you're not growing.
Your competitor is, so I mean, I'm working with them, so I do know. What's your favorite book, Chris?
Oh, my favorite book. Oh gosh, that is a good one. Let me look at my bookshelf right here.
Look at that.
Well, if I don't say traction, my entire last decade is probably just going up
It's a
in
great
flames. So
book.
let me
Great
just,
book.
yeah. Well, I mean, it changed my
Changed
life,
many
uh,
lives.
and and I've changed quite a few lives. Well over 100 teams. I've graduated to the process. So I'm going to go with the safe, easy answer, but it's also the right
Yeah.
answer, because my friend Gino, like people would say, he didn't create a lot of that stuff. Well, he aggregated. Imagine assembling 20 tools and then dumbing them down to the point where the average American can actually
Yep.
understand them, and then get into work in a holistic
Brilliant.
framework. It's nothing short of brilliant. And the 900 pushing 1,000 implementers are all showing up with a plan that
It's
works,
huge and
and then it's up to
consistent.
the
And
individual.
consistent. I
Yeah.
was, Chris, one of the things about maybe 6 years ago, implementing EOS made us a business, right? Less of a practice, less inconsistent to a consistent business, right? And ups and downs happen, but we always knew how to work within the system. So that's huge. Chris, big thank you for joining us, sharing your unfiltered look at building elite teams and taking decisive action and leading with clarity. The decisive action is one that I really, really, really like, that I'm going to be even more decisive in my business. If you want to sharpen your execution leadership game, check out the Business Sergeant's Field Manual. Connect with Chris. Maybe he can be your implementer. Who knows? Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Avetis, thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of another great episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. I want to thank you for joining us and hope you took away some valuable insights to apply in your professional journey. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss out on the next great conversation. I promise it'll be good. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also help others discover the podcast. Better leaders mean better working environments. Better working environments leads to happier people. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm Avetis Antaplyan, and this has been the Tech Leaders Playbook. Keep leading, keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.